Now, Washington's talking tariffs and Delhi is hosting diplomacy. And yes, the global trade chessboard is just getting a fresh shake-up. J.D. Vance, the American vice president, is in India this week with his family. And it's more than just the optics. His presence signaling a deeper recalibration in India-US ties. And that's strategic, economic, and everything in between. So there is energy diversification, defense, a long-pending bilateral trade agreement. All of these are on the agenda. And meanwhile, the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, has landed in Washington with a packed portfolio, attending the spring meetings of the IMF and the World Bank, participating in the G20 Finance Ministers Summit, and very crucially, holding bilateral talks with the US Treasury and USTR officials. The stakes are indeed sky high. India is angling for favorable terms with its largest trade partner as it chases that ambitious $500 billion trade target by the year 2030. But now with Trump's tariff playbook playing spoil sport, it's targeting electronics, pharma, semiconductors as well. So the road ahead is laced with a lot of uncertainty, and these trade talks may be progressing very quietly, but there are tariff tremors which are getting louder by the day. And add to that the looming H-1B restrictions, the rising freight disruptions. To put it in context of J.D. Vance visit, my colleague Sumita Kareer is joining us from Delhi. She's covering this visit, and of course he and his family are going to be in Jaipur tomorrow. Sumita, tell us what's on the agenda. This is high-stakes diplomacy right now. Tell us what you've learned about the visit so far. It seems big on optics, his family tagging along, his kids wearing Indian ethnic wear. Tell us all that we've learned so far.
Absolutely, Vikram, and I'm right here in Jaipur just a couple of hours before US Vice President J.D. Vance actually arrives in Jaipur. He's expected to land here, make a landing here at around 11 p.m. He's currently in a meeting, in a dinner table meeting with the Prime Minister, and of course sources are telling us that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, NSA Ajit Doval, along with India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri are part of that meeting that is currently going on at the Prime Minister's residence. And of course, accompanying J.D. Vance are also officials from the United States. Now, let's talk about what you spoke about, the softer side of diplomacy. Yes, that is very important to note, given that J.D. Vance has made a rather assertive tone, rather an aggressive tone on a world stage. If you remember that meeting that happened between United States President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and of course, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he was very forthright in expressing his opinions. So, of course, he is showcasing his softer side. There is a softer diplomacy at play here, given that the Vance family has come together. In fact, they landed in India early in the morning at Palam Airport, and of course they will be visiting several venues of cultural significance. They will be visiting Agra's Taj Mahal, and of course they will be arriving here in Jaipur later in the night. Tomorrow is when we can expect lots of action in Jaipur right here. So let me show you the venue right here. Well, Rajasthan International Center. I'm standing right here. The town is buzzing. We've seen hoardings, placards, etc. of J.D. Vance's visit here in New Delhi as well, where there is a lot of hectic activity underway. So tomorrow, Mr. Vance is expected to first go to Amber Fort for a sightseeing, and of course he will also be engaging with in other cultural activities as well. And around 3 p.m. is when he will be addressing the gathering here at Rajasthan International Center, and that will be an important speech to take note of, given that the ties between the United States and India have only gotten stronger. Whether it is the Biden administration or now it is the Trump administration, we know that Donald Trump has spoken very fondly of the Prime Minister, however also speaking about the fact that India charges a rather high tariffs. So this visit is significant from that point of view as well. And of course, sources are telling us that the conversation with the Prime Minister is not going to touch upon very deeper aspects. This is sort of laying the ground for Donald Trump's visit later in the year to India. So it is aimed at that. Of course, both sides are looking at touching upon several aspects of this partnership. That includes tech partnership. Remember when the United States President met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi earlier earlier this year, there was a lot of focus on ISET or focus on emerging technologies. So that got renamed as a trust initiative. So there could be talks around that. There could be talks around defense. Of course, like I said, a technology partnership. And of course, trade is going to be key part of these discussions and developments. So his speech, his comments tomorrow when he makes, this will be an interesting part to know, because India and the United States are currently engaged in fast-tracking the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement, which both the sides are looking at completing by fall this year. We are also given to understand from sources that officials from the Commerce Department are expected to travel to the United States on April the 23rd, and which is when that process will be taken forward. Sources also say that at least 19 chapters were agreed upon. So there will be discussions and deliberations happening on that front. So definitely it's going to be a rather very interesting day, a busy day for all of us here in Jaipur, as of course, media contingents from several channels have come right here to cover this very, very crucial diplomatic visit by the United States Vice President.
Very crucial diplomatic visit. There's no taking away from that. Besides the optics, the kind of groundwork that is being laid up for Donald Trump's visit to India later this year is going to be an important piece. And this, of course, even as bilateral trade agreement talks continue. So it's going to be an important piece, Sumita. We'll keep cutting back to you for more on that visit of the American Vice President. Thanks very much for filling us in. So